Running a business comes with a lot of what ifs, but luckily there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. Enjoy complimentary access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with a welcome offer of 150,000 points after you spend $20,000 on purchases on the card within your first 3 months of membership, your business can soar to new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by Polestar. There's only one true way to experience the all-electric luxury SUV Polestar 3, and that's to take a test drive. It can go from 0 to 60 in as little as 4.8 seconds with the dynamic handling of a sports car. But to truly understand how it commands the road, you need to be behind the wheel. Up to 350 miles of range, the 3D surround sound system by Bowers & Wilkins. It's all something you have to experience to believe. So book your test drive for Polestar 3 today at polestar.com.
If you went on a road trip and you didn't stop for a Big Mac or drop a crispy fry between the car seats or use your McDonald's bag as a placemat, then that wasn't a road trip. It was just a really long drive. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's.
Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts.
Tim Calise, welcome to the conversation today.
Oh, thank you for having me, John. I appreciate it.
It is a real pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from San Diego, normally from Nashville. And today we're going to be talking about the role of human capital leadership in organizational success. I'm joining the conversation south of Salt Lake City in Utah. This is a really important conversation. Of course, I'm a human capital leadership guy. That's the name of the podcast. I'm all about human capital and the human asset within organizations and how we can leverage that to drive organizational success. I'm excited to hear your entrepreneurial perspective on this, given your background. And as we get started, I wanted to share your bio with everybody. Tim Calise is a versatile entrepreneur, finance expert, and podcast host, founder, successful tech fitness ventures, and raised $325 million for his first hedge fund by the age of 25. He co-developed Alan, an AI-driven SaaS platform, achieving remarkable growth from 0 to 20 million ARR in 6 months. Currently, he is the co-creator with multiple 7- and 8-figure service business owners, aligning product pricing and positioning in order to install profitable acquisition systems. A tremendous background. I could go on, but I'm going to pause there. Anything you would like to add before we launch on into the conversation?
No, I think you covered it. Done a few things in my day, but I think the through line would best be categorized under the who, not how. And everything that I've done kind of through each of those chapters has been I'm a 0 to 1 or a 0 to 2 guy. So I like to get things moving. But then the reality is, to go quickly, you can go alone, but to go far, you need to go with kindred spirits. And so I have found all of that success has generally been backed by aligning other folks' area of genius to be able to hopefully accomplish something extraordinary.
Yeah, I love that. Aligning areas of genius. Perfect. And it really is like, as you're trying to innovate and be creative, drive value to the market, it happens through people, right? Aligning creative genius of individuals, bringing them together. It's the humanness, that creativity and innovation that drives all of that. So, we definitely need all of the systems, the processes, the procedures of an organization. We need the finances. We need the other forms of capital to help bring all of that to light, to bring all of that to market. All of that's super important, but we can never forget the need, the necessity of having that human component. As we dive on in, I'd love to hear your perspective as an entrepreneur. You've been in that position where, sometimes you're, kind of that early stage entrepreneur, solopreneur, or you have like your small starting founding team. What has it been like for you at that early stage, where you have the great idea, you have that small founding team, you're bringing this product to market or this service to market, but then you start to scale, you start to grow, you start to add people to the team. It goes from being that small little, tight knit team to now you have a dozen people, a couple dozen people. Now you have maybe 100 people, etc. Like it changes the game, doesn't it? And how have you navigated that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, John. And so in the beginning, how I think about it is I have.
Hey, business owners, we know you know the importance of maximizing every dollar. With the Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business American Express card, you can make your expenses work just as hard as you. From afternoon coffee runs to stocking office supplies and even team dinners, you can earn miles on all your business expenses. Plus, you can earn 110,000 bonus miles for a limited time through July 16th. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business Card. If you travel, you know. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply. Offer ends 7/16/25.
Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate. And they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.
Made decisions to buy back my time to protect kind of the things that I know that I can do and that I'm uniquely skilled to do, which delivers value. So, for example, in the beginning parts of the last couple of ventures that I've been fortunate to be a part of, my role is usually some version of go find product market fit. So for me, that's how do I match the need of the marketplace that we've identified, and how do we craft the product, the pricing, the packaging to marry those two things together. Now, that's kind of the get the ball rolling, start to build some momentum. And then where I've found the best success is both kind of in the macro and the micro day to day with building a team. And what I mean by that is I have put a tremendous focus on customer success as a strategic advantage, which is we want to make sure, because I work primarily in recurring revenue businesses. So if we can acquire the customer, the name of the game for us is retention, is the longevity of the client. And so we put a focus on, let's make sure that we're doing a great job with onboarding. Let's doing a great job with activation. And then the frontline folks are the ones who actually know the kind of the small, grit in the gears, if you will. So I need to collect that back because they're the ones on the front lines, right? So that's the micro. In the macro, what I want to be teasing out is in some of these conversations, it's not just about what we're doing today, but I'm really curious. I look at recurring revenue businesses as a series of opening loops and closing loops. So we acquire the customer, we solve a problem, we close a loop. Then we open a new one. An example of that would be, I can teach you how to run a great funnel, for example. But after you have a successful funnel, then you need to have a successful onboarding process. So we've solved one problem and opened another. Once we solve the onboarding process, then you might have to have a retention or a delivery, issue. So every one of these stages solves a problem, but then opens up a new one. And I want to tease that out and give the rest of the team an ability to be tied to that value creation, because that's what most people want to be a part of. They want to be part of the solution, and we have to give them methods to do that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. You're absolutely right. People want to be engaged in the solution. People understand that things are messy, that there's challenges, that there are definitely problems, and they don't expect the executive team, the leadership team, to have all of the answers. I think sometimes leaders misconstrue that. I think sometimes leaders think that they have to project this confidence to, I mean, you do have to project confidence, but like sometimes they think that they have to project confidence to the extent that you can never like show your underbelly. Like you can never show a little bit of vulnerability, that you can never let on that, you know, you don't know exactly what the answer is, that you don't, that there are issues, there are problems. And in fact, that's not true at all. Like you absolutely should, you know, appropriately, you don't want to overexpose, I suppose, but you do need to appropriately allow members of your team to understand, like, what are you facing, and let them in on the game. Like let them participate, because you need their understanding, you need their insights, you need their feedback, you need to understand what they're seeing from the front lines, you need to understand their perspective, and you want their participation in the process, right? And in so doing, and being a little bit vulnerable, involving them in the process, you're going to generate greater buy-in, you're going to generate greater levels of commitment, you're going to generate greater levels of trust. And all of that is just going to be so much more positive in the long run for the team and for the organization. It's going to produce much better outcomes for everybody. But I understand why that often doesn't happen. It's because, you know, we have fear around vulnerability. You know, we like to be secure, and we like to act like we know what we're doing, and you know, we don't want to be found out, you know, imposter syndrome or whatever the case may be. And so how have you balanced that in the past? You know, because there is a tension there.
Yeah, so I view it as my responsibility is I build the people build the business. And somebody said something to me once, and I'm paraphrasing, probably five so years ago. He said, "Your job is to build a business that is big enough for your teams to fit their dreams inside of."
Hmm.
And that struck me. Like, so because you think about like, why does somebody want to leave? Or, you know, there's this tension between, you know, is there going to be enough? Is the business big enough to carry the evolution of each of the team members? So, you know, somebody might start at a junior level, then want to move up. Well, okay, how does that actually work? Am I building a business that can actually sustain the team that I'm thinking, you know, that I'm building today and into the future? And so one way to kind of be vulnerable, if you will, is I want to project out and say, you know, this is where we're going. Here's the dream. Here's the big picture. Here's how you can participate in that. And a lot of what I actually do, John, which I'm curious your perspective, is I have found that so often people think in kind of the black and white terms. It's like binomial outcomes. So either you know, we have 100% success or we have failure. If we get one complaint, that means we're doing something wrong. And so very much it's like managing those expectations through the process to say, we're never going to get to a point, if we never have a complaint, we're not pushing hard enough, or we're not evolving hard enough, or iterating appropriately. But I want them as part of that process to say, I am very clear about where we're going to get, where we're going to take this business. How we get there is going to be a little bit of a windy road, because it always is. And kind of, I've always taken the kind of transparent approach is to say, we're going to try some things. A lot of things aren't going to work out.
Yeah.
But I give the example of, you know, I spent some time in the tech industry. You know, Google kind of famously has given, you know, up to 20% of the time that somebody dedicates to their role just purely for innovation.
Yeah.
They expect nothing from it, but it scratches that curiosity, right? That itch, and that gives people some freedom. But they've also created some incredible innovations out of that. And I believe that kind of getting everybody aligned on the creative side, understanding, you know, what we're doing and where we're going, gives them the ability to contribute. Because I don't have to, every idea doesn't have to be mine, but every decision ultimately is mine, because I have to keep everybody moving in the same direction. But that doesn't mean I'm certainly the last to speak in most of the meetings.
Yeah, absolutely. As you were sharing that, you know, what I'm thinking about is like the iterative process, the ideation that happens in design thinking. So, you know, one way of framing this, like when I hear people talk about design thinking, for example, I'm a professor. So, I teach at the university, I do research, I also do consulting work. And so a lot of times when I hear about design thinking, or I think about the consultancy process or these types of things, I just go back to, well, that's just the scientific method. That's all ideation and design thinking is.
Yeah.
It's the scientific method. All you're doing is allowing people the space to hypothesize, to test, and to iterate, right? And then feedback on what they're testing, and just do that at scale, like do it rapidly, right? And what you were just describing to me was just more of that. Like, you create an environment where you invite innovation by allowing people to try things. And as a leader, you set the tone, and you set the example, and you invite that. You give people the opportunity to engage in that ideation and the experimentation. You want to fall forward, fail fast, all those cliches. You don't want to invest millions into a failed product launch or something like that. But the point is, like, you can try something, you can try it kind of on a really fast test case, right? And you can see how it works, and then that prototype, you can then make adjustments based on the feedback, and then you can iterate, right? And that's what we do all the time in various aspects of our lives, in different aspects of business, and different aspects of the scientific endeavor. And so, why don't we always embrace that in business? Why don't we always embrace that in our company cultures, in our team cultures? And I think largely it's because of fear, right? Fear of failure, fear of being found out, whatever. And so I think it really is the confident, secure leader, who's willing to set that tone and say, no, I'm going to put a stake in the ground here and say that failure is only failure if we're not learning from what we try. We obviously don't want to, like, epically fail, but we want to rapidly try things, learn from what's working, learn from what's not working, and then try again, and do that repeatedly. And that's what's going to help us move things forward. And we learn from everyone in the organization, from the front line all the way up through different layers of the organization, through different, hopefully we don't have things too siloed, like we can have cross collaborations, all of that. You mentioned Google. They famously do this. Atlassian famously does this. Lots of different tech companies have famously done this. It doesn't have to be a tech thing. Like, this could happen in any organization if we just allow it to. Like, if we just embrace this kind of a mentality.
Yeah, you're spot on. And I primarily work with companies in the kind of 0 to 5 million a year range, revenue range. And the number one metric, especially if you're in the kind of sub $1 million a year run rate range, is the number one KPI that you should look at is the number of offers that you make. So business is a game of longevity. So failure only really comes into play, in my opinion, when you are risking the viability of the organization. So you don't make huge bets, right?
Yes.
However, you should absolutely be encouraged and encouraging your team around a design idea of, we make lots of offers, because that is just us putting a marker out to the marketplace and saying, or putting a flag up and seeing if it resonates, right? So for example, I was part of a company called Gym Launch, run by Alex and Lila Hormozy, who a lot of people know these days. We made offers all the time. And the easiest way to do this in just about every organization is put some kind of access or group program together around a common theme. So if you sell a product, we had a mattress store, for example, that we did some work with on the lead gen side. And we said, you're actually unclear exactly what business you're in. You don't sell mattresses, you sell better sleep. Like, oh, interesting. That shift in perspective allowed their teams to start to think about, like, okay, we're going to bring in a sleep psychologist to talk about how do you get better sleep. We brought in someone who creates bespoke scents, sprays and things related to creating an atmosphere for better sleep. We had somebody who came in and talked about the role of technology in the interruption of sleep. So you start to expand your horizons. And those are just different ways for people, like we call them sockets, different sockets for people to plug into. Those are small things, but they can actually start to fan the flames of these like little ideas where people say, you know what, that was great. It gave another reason for me to engage with your company. It gave me a different way to participate. And so we encourage people to do workshops these days, to do events, virtual and live, create different ways to interact with with their core client.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Tim, this has just really been a great conversation. I would love to chat with you for forever, but I also know at the time, I know you have a hard stop. You have a whole room full of people waiting for you and that you're going to go speak with here in just a minute. So I need to let you go. But before we wrap up the conversation, I wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, your team, and then give us a final word on the topic for today.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate you having me on, John. And I'm actually speaking on achieving time freedom as an entrepreneur for the next hour and a half after this. So it's a topic that I'm very passionate about. I would love to connect with you if anything we talked about today resonated with you. Easiest way to find me is on Instagram, tim.calise. That's tim.calise. And just DM me the word John, Jon. And I will give you one or both of the frameworks that I had in mind that I talked about related to creating more offers, as well as aligning your team. Some things that we've implemented in our portfolio companies to help you in those regards. So with that, I'm a big believer in who, not how. Understand your area of genius and open yourself up to allowing other people to help craft and deliver upon the vision that you have. Anytime we do anything, we don't do it in a silo. And so continue to attract people. We call them your first followers, the people that will go through thick and thin, the ups and downs that are always going to be present as business owners and entrepreneurs. But I wish you all the best, and I'm just greatly appreciative of you having me on today.
Tim, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, get connected, find out more about what Tim can do for you. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.